So let's talk about collections. When we talk about collections, understand that collection action starts the moment product or services go out the door. So the moment that leaves your building or your people go out to work on a job site, until that money comes in and is applied to their account, there's the opportunity for collection action. It doesn't always mean it's a negative thing when we talk collection action. A lot of the argument or the pushback you're going to get when you make a collection call is, hey, calling, finding out where our payment is. Haven't I always paid you? Kind of, that's why I'm calling, because you haven't paid us in the agreed upon time. So we had a deal. The deal was I would supply you with products or services in the time frame that you asked for, at the price you asked for. And I did that. I lived up to my end of the bargain. Now I'm expecting you to live up to yours. Your agreement was to pay me in the time frame that we specified, not at some distant point in the future when it's convenient for you. So that's really what you're looking for. And you have to keep drilling that concept home to people. So what you're doing is collection action is merely training your customers to pay you on time. And that's how you have to think about it. It all goes back to your cash flow. There's cash, which a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of owners are seduced by, I have money in the bank, so I have to have cash flow. It's not. Cash flow is what's coming into your company and going out at any given time. So as a credit manager, you are basically the valve for that cash flow. You're making sure that it's flowing in at the same rate or better than it's flowing out at. And that means you have to make sure that's coming in. So it all goes back to training. I want you to know that it's okay if you pay other people late. It's not okay if you pay me late. There's you eating and living indoors and paying me. That's how I want you to think of it. You're doing a disservice if you're listening to your salespeople saying, well, don't call. He gets upset when you call. The customer gets very upset. Well, I get very upset when we don't get paid. We had a deal. You wouldn't like it if I supplied your product, maybe a little drip edge here, maybe a little bundle of shingles over here. Give me a few weeks and I'll drop some house wrap on you. Same thing. I didn't dribble your product or services out. I don't expect you to dribble your payments in. We had an agreement. So you want them to understand that you have to pay my company on time if you want me to continue to perform, if you want to keep trucks on the road going to your job sites, crews coming out there, or product coming to you. So those are the things you want to keep in mind. So you set your expectations up front. You make sure your customer is set up for success. Make sure you set their terms up correctly. That goes back to that communication and proactivity piece. So if you've done your job at the onset with the credit application, talking to your customer, hey, tell me what kind of work you're going to be doing. If it's government work, I know that's going to pay a little slower. Are you working with tract homes? Are you working with individual project builders? What's the job that you're working on? What are we doing? And then you're going to be able to go, okay, let's marry those terms up to meet that. So we both get set up for success. As a credit person, you have the opportunity to talk to your sales manager and talk to your customers and find out, hey, what's going to work for us? What flexibility do we have? It goes back to that risk reward philosophy. What's your company's philosophy? Well, let's set our customers up for success. If we know this customer can't pay in 30 days because they're on a government project and those typically take 60 days to pay, then let's set up for success. Understand we might take a lesser amount of work from them because we can't supply the credit line they might need. So there's give and take and balance in there, but set your customer up for success. Lots of factors in business can contribute to them paying slow. You don't want them to think it's flexible and that, especially around holidays, people tend to hold that money because they want to have really good Christmases. You're not going to have a really good Christmas if you don't pay me, because I will lien your job and I will sue you. We had a deal. Let's not get confused. Something else that will happen to you as a credit manager in collections is credit managers get tagged with being maybe not the most generous of spirit. It's okay to have a heart. It's not okay to be a doormat. So you want to be aware that people are going to come and tell you anything that happened. Here's the circumstance that came up. Here's why I can't pay you. Okay, I understand there might be some circumstances. Let's work through those. Let's put something. You've got to keep money coming in the door. Let's put a short-term payment plan in place and we can revisit it. There's lots of things that you can do, But just telling me, give me a few more weeks, and it's compounded by a few weeks after that is not acceptable. You have to start putting some structure around that. And that gets a little bit tough because everybody wants to think of themselves as a generous and good person. I am a generous and good person, and so are you as a credit manager. The kindest thing I can do for you is to help you get this bill paid down. Because at some point, it's going to continue to get larger and larger because interest will accrue. Unfortunately, a lot of companies fail to do that. They're afraid they're going to lose customers. They're afraid they're going to offend somebody. They're afraid that if they pull the trigger too quickly, that it's going to offend that customer. They're going to go somewhere else. They might. You know, the bottom line is they absolutely might. However, you can't just allow that. You're not Habitat for Humanity. You've got to continue to get that money in the door.
This is just a small taste of a much larger class. You can take the full class for free at levelset.com. Join me.